Hey folks, it's Finn. Well, what a year 2018 has been. A whirlwind from real rock bottom to absolute takeoff in every way conceivable. So I thought, let's do a 2018 in review. 2018 did not really start well. On the back of Mum becoming very unwell. Brother and I call her the Duracell Bunny because every time we think this is it, she's going to go, she bounces back. It's just incredible. But we're not sure she will be bouncing back this time at all. It became clear that the best option was for me to relocate from Dawlish back to Eastbourne. That she's going to need more support and that spending time with her now is crucial. That was the kind of icing on the cake that it's time now to move on. So November and December last year was spent rushing to Eastbourne, dumping all of my belongings in the bedroom, living on a mattress in the lounge, whilst me and my brother tried to find Mum a nursing home and clear her flat. And everything possible was going wrong in my flat. It's been a tough week. Things have gone wrong. My heaters in my flat are broken and there's a hole in my bath. You've got to laugh, haven't you, really? So I need to wait for that to be done before I can even start to paint. And of course, with Mum poorly, painting is not going to be happening very quickly. I've of course got no white goods either. No fridge, no freezer, no cooker. So, you know, it's a bit of a Faulty Towers car crash arrival in Eastbourne so far. But it'll be alright. The roller coaster ride continued. We found a really lovely place for Mum. We'd kind of lost hope that it was going to happen before Christmas, but Mark and I saw a really, really nice place last week. We really liked the feel of it. And then they had to come out and assess Mum and just see if they could cater for her needs. And we got the news yesterday that they're happy to have her there, which is such a huge relief. Hurrah! But then, mid-December, we get her into the nursing home. Everything's hunky-dory, and then all of a sudden, unfortunately, got a call from the nursing home yesterday. They tried to rouse Mum and she just wasn't coming round properly, and she was incredibly hot and very chesty, so they got an ambulance and got her in, and she's full of chest infection again, which is what she was in hospital for last time for the last 3 months. Back into hospital we go. I gave up on Christmas at this point and just decided to make the best of it, and I used it as a time to decorate my flat, as you do. I spent Christmas Day in hospital feeding my mum turkey, and God bless the NHS because they really look after people on Christmas Day. How's your tea?
Lovely.
You're having a bit of trouble getting to that, aren't you? Yeah, look. Got it? Right, go careful because it's hot.
Lovely.
Lovely. Christmas cuppa. Christmas dinner, what do you reckon to that, Mum? Nice Christmas dinner?
Come on then.
Come on then. And that was all before January 2018 started. At least having a tidy, unpacked flat gave me a good start to the new year. My brother and I cleared out Mum's flat, which was really hard, but we knew we'd made the right decision. It's really weird. I'm finding it really hard to leave. It's just really weird to think that this was Mum's, and you know, Mum's now not got a Mum's. I mean, she's got a nursing home, but I'm never gonna like ring my own Mum's front doorbell ever again. I'm never gonna stay at my Mum's place ever again. It's just really weird. And then finally, we now do also have a formal diagnosis. I took Mum to our local memory clinic service thing today. And, you know, just taking a verbal history from me, the doctor went, that's absolutely vascular dementia. Now, of course, we expected as much, but it's still hard to hear that and to know that she was so far gone that there was nothing we could really do except make her safe and comfortable. I'm pretty proud of myself for the way I kept upbeat about all this. And in January, I decided that regardless of what was happening with Mum, I would get my life back on track because my health was taking a nosedive. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, when exactly it started. With everything going on around Mum, I don't think I was paying a huge amount of attention to my own well-being. I just started noticing Like at the end of peeing, I was getting a kind of like pinching pain. I had been noticing some issues with my urethra again, with wee frequency and all of that. And that was devastating because I'd only been fixed in the October. In deciding with Mr. Christopher that we'd just wait and see unless it got much more severe, there was nothing I could do except wait for a date for stage 3. Either way, I had to just get on with my life. As you know, the previous summer of 2017, I had had a whale of a time, to say the least. Exploring my new body and exploring my sexuality, my gender expression, all of that. But that had to stop because Mum was poorly. Mum is still my main priority, but I'm now trying to find ways to make sure I have my own life and I take care of myself around what's going on for her. I've started to pick up my social life and connect with people back in my hometown, but what is definitely missing is the intimate side of my life, and I'd really like that back. So I got myself back on Tinder. Classy. However, just one blooming thing after another, my mental and physical health just got worse and worse. I am crashing into such a low mood that all I can do is lie down. Even sitting up feels impossible. My body just wants to be lying down. That's the only place where I actually feel any peace. No matter how long I slept, my brain was muddled, my anxiety was huge, my mood was through the floor. And it was a rather scary time, and it felt disproportionate to what was going on. I knew, of course, that with what was happening with Mum, with moving and everything, that of course I was going to have some issues. This is a completely different beast. And now I've realised that, I realise that everything I'm doing is not helping at all. The extent to which they presented was out of character. By now, I was pretty hacked off with 2018, to be fair. I needed help, and I went out there and I found some. There was a free course for people in Sussex called Wellbeing Recovery Action Planning, which was group help, group support group, once a week for 6 weeks. And I did that, and alongside the Carers Centre in Eastbourne also gave 6 sessions of counselling to help with the diagnosis of dementia. So I attended that as well, which was really helpful. One thing came out of it that surprised me, and that was the realisation that pursuing a path as a counsellor or a therapist was a little bit too ambitious for now. Is a comment my counsellor made. She said to me, 7 years is not that long to get yourself clean and sober, manage your mental health better, transitioning, getting a degree, and moving into working as a therapist. When she said that, I had a light bulb moment and went, oh yeah, that's a lot, isn't it? Can't deny I wasn't a little bit disappointed about this realisation, but also, more than anything, I was relieved because I hadn't realised just how much of pressure I was putting on myself to get to that point of being well enough. It was stopping me from accepting where I am now. And I started to instead think about how I could do what I loved doing, helping people, raising awareness, inspiring people in other ways. Hello, YouTube. Why don't I make writing my career? Because that can be worked around my mental health, and more importantly, it can start now. I don't have to wait to be well. So in around March time, April time, I started to explore different kinds of writing, reading different business books, writing books, freelance books, to see if I could turn all of what I do into a cohesive business. Things were starting to look a little bit on the up. And then a rather interesting spanner entered the mix. After continually harassing my doctor, not being able to see a doctor and being fobbed off, I had results back from a blood test which showed that I have a underactive thyroid, hypothyroidism. Now, my mum has this, but I didn't really understand how it affected things, and to my surprise, it is responsible for a lot. There's over 100 different symptoms of a underactive thyroid, and the prominent ones are high anxiety, and low mood. I have said numerous times how the way my moods were presenting, particularly the extreme highs and lows and the incredible fatigue, just did not feel right. It wasn't the same as how my mental health normally presents itself. I know my mental health very, very well, and I knew something was up. And I was blinking well right. Lesson from this is always trust yourself. Never feel bad for harassing a doctor when you know you are right. From that point, in knowing that my mental health was more to do with my thyroid than a reaction to mum, and an explanation then why my usual methods of dealing with it weren't working, because I needed thyroid meds, not antidepressants, was such a relief. And then an extra surprise, a couple of weeks into having the levothyroxide, my urinary issues got better. Yeah. I spoke to Mr. Christopher and he said that actually yes, the bladder can be affected by the thyroid. So it gave me a little bit of hope that perhaps there wasn't a urethra issue after all, but still I had to wait for a date. So I again let that go with a little bit more optimism to see what happened. Oh my goodness, what a roller coaster. Now, in finally feeling a little bit more like my usual self, I said yes to a date. In fact, I actually think that I was the one that pushed for it. After first telling him I was a lesbian once. We clicked, there were sparks, lots of laughter, mostly at me. It was just a blooming lovely day. He wasn't at all fazed by my awkwardness and arm waving at one point walking down the street, and I was just gesticulating as normal as I do, and I almost knocked somebody out on the way past. Then we're having this conversation about dentists, and for some reason I decided it was a really good idea to tell him that my mouth didn't open very wide, but it did once it was warmed up. Why, Finn? Despite my thoughts that I might be ruling out my being gay, what actually happened was a confirmation that I am as gay as they come. And then, all of a sudden, he just flips me onto my back and kisses me. Oh my actual God. His lovely, soft, bearded face on mine was just blooming amazing. Oh my God. I was only wanting to dip my toe back in the water and get dating. I wasn't actually looking for anything else. I wasn't not looking, but at the same time, I wasn't looking. You know what I mean. But then he rolls over and just looks straight into my eyes and says in his gorgeous accent, "Finley, we've been dating a while now. How do you feel about being my boyfriend?" I absolutely died. Of course I said yes. I've got a boyfriend, I've got a boyfriend. Oh my actual God, I've got a boyfriend. I fell head over heels in love with the northern hairy monkey. I have something really, really important to tell you. I'm gay! That was in May, and then life since then has just rocketed upwards. Little pun intended. After constantly writing and constantly sending out pictures for magazines and on-print, digital, blah blah blahs, and I have some exciting news to tell you that, wait for it, I have had a submission accepted. I'm so happy. And then it was like stepping into a parallel universe. You know that theory where you're living lots of different lives and you can switch between them? Well, I think I'd been in the bad one up until that point, and then I just switched over. Here I was with this gorgeous boyfriend, I had my first article published, and now I started working with the Open Uni as an OU ambassador. It was such hard work keeping it quiet, but they came to Eastbourne and we did some filming around Eastbourne, which resulted in the online media campaign that you've all seen. I am so excited about my future. I really am. And every time I hear myself say it, I grin because it just doesn't match up with the me of 7 years ago. And then I went and did some more filming with Anna Richardson, who is lovely. And the result of that was the advert that you've seen across Channel 4.
Your life before the OU.
Isn't having confidence.
I'm on the telly!
Because it's helped to rewrite all the stuff I've told myself over the years.
It sounds as though the OU's been tremendously supportive.
Yeah, they walk you through it. You're taught how to study.
Learning how to learn.
Yes. And teach.
This led to some of the most amazing experiences that took a lot of guts to say yes to. I really did push my comfort zone, considering where I'd come from. And all of a sudden, here I was branching out into public speaking. I went to a conference and I spoke there. I also did some radio interviews with Anna Richardson from Mental Health Day. The second half of this year has just been an absolute, unbelievable ride of my life. The most surprising thing of the year, if all that wasn't surprising enough, was getting a date for surgery, which I stayed rather calm about because I was aware that I might just be getting a fix. And to not be disappointed with that, because at least it was a step forward. But we have liftoff. I've got an erection! This was also a joy to share with Chris. So it's just turned up, and this is his reaction to my trousers. What's the matter, babe?
You pleased to see me?
Yes, very.
It looks like you are.
We'll make it home.
Wow.
And to have him fall in love with me, fall in love with my body, and to be completely taken aback every time I mention anything about my past because he can't see me as anything other than the man I am, has just been an incredible affirmation of my identity. I'd kind of given up all hope that my transition would be ending this year, or that I'd be losing my virginity. Oh yes, it's successfully happened now. Just had to pump a bit harder. I still can't believe that my gender transition, the surgical side of it, is done. Now that my gender transition is done, in terms of physically done, it means I'm free to now go and carve my way in the world in a way I couldn't before because I was always held hostage to surgery dates, recovery times, and now I don't have to worry about that. I can now branch forward. Mine and Chris's relationship has just blossomed and blossomed throughout the year. It's just amazing. We're planning to move in together in April when my tenancy's up. We'd have moved in sooner if we could. But we're being sensible adults. We were naughty and booked a holiday very early on in our relationship, and I'm glad we did, because it was an amazing way to spend the early part of December, which was likely to be an upsetting time with Mum, but going away, spending such a lovely time together, I fell even more in love with him, and it's made our Christmas.
Hey, where are we? We're at the airport. Which one? Gatwick. Yay! I'm so excited, babe. Me too. Oh, we're going to adventure. Woo! Woo! Back to the island.
And as a final icing on the cake, after experimenting all year and researching about how I could move forward into a freelance content creating business, I've done it. I've been kind of quiet about it because I didn't know if it was all going to work, but I have now been transferred from benefits onto something called the New Enterprise Allowance, which is basically a program that helps you to move from benefits into self-employment. As long as you can present a business plan that's viable and you can make money from, they will help you to do that. And I got that confirmed a couple of weeks ago. There is a blog on my website about this, and I will do a vlog about this too. But you are now looking at a man who has his own business, and there is Finspiration for hire. Inquire within. So let's just reflect on this. We started at real rock bottom, awful mental health, life in tatters, moved on an instinct that it was right, but it was also quick and I wasn't sure. Would have just settled for Mum being okay and for my health to sort itself out. But actually what's happened is I've got a boyfriend, an erection, and my own business. Life is just like... It just confirms what I've grown to trust over these last 8 years, that stuff passes, and out of crap can come gold if you just breathe and go with it. Fighting life gets you nowhere. Going with the flow, adapting is the way forward. And I've done that, and look where I am. Still scratching my head in disbelief. I just want to say a massive, massive thank you for everyone supporting me through everything, but especially this year, because I think the title for this is right. This has been the best, worst year ever. And having everybody remind me that I'm going to be okay, that just being there and advice and all of that, just sharing it, the ups and downs and everything else in between, makes it all more palatable, more able to deal with, and also when it starts going right, a joy to share. And I'm so grateful that I do this on here so I can share this with you. Now on to plan for the year ahead, and there are lots of exciting things to come. Oh yes, even more exciting. So keep your eye out for a video coming soon about the new year and goals and plans for the new year. Hope you've all had a lovely Christmas. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very shortly. Bye bye.